Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on Proview Network. Leroy Lucero along with Michael Carlisle of 610 The Sports Animal Sports Bar fame, award-winning sports bar, and another award winner. I'm sure you've got some awards going somewhere. Robert Portnoy, the voice of the Lobos. Welcome to Red Menace TV once again. You've been here quite a few times, and we always enjoy having you, Robert. We wanted to bring you in because I know the season, Lobo athletic season ended last week, basically. Yet it seems like this off-season has lasted forever.
You mean there's been some stuff going on?
A little bit of news. A little bit of news. Mike, do you have all the news that's been going on?
Oh, good Lord.
Talk radio hasn't been any fun lately.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Basketball coach fired, basketball coach hired, transfers, Scotland trip investigations from 2 years ago, audits, AD retires, need to hire a new AD, need a president at some point. Did I miss anything? More transfers.
More transfers, softball coach.
Softball coach.
That's plenty.
There was a ring thing that kind of was thrown out there this week that was kind of weird. Could we throw that in there yet or not yet?
You're the only person I've heard make a big
Really?
deal
You're
out
the
of
only
that.
one that made that? I guess I hang out too much on social media and the internet. Because I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it. Anyway.
You seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. And you know, if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just saying. Actually, Robert, I mean, where do you want to start?
You tell me.
I don't know. I mean, he just broke out a long list. I know where to start. Lobo basketball.
Hold on. We forgot probably the most important thing. The largest gift in school history from Dreamstyle for naming rights for the football stadium and the pit. That was kind of a big deal.
Oh, we got a fist pump there. We got a fist pump there. I got to ask. I guess they haven't come up with the official name yet that they want to use on that, have they?
Correct. No, it's still in the works.
It's still in the works. I still think they should just go with Dreamstyle Arena, keep the pit for locals because everyone uses it. I mean, you use it, right? You're going to say
Always.
Dreamstyle Arena, the pit. You don't have to put AKA. You don't have to make it part of the official name.
There.
Just
Dreamstyle
the pit.
Arena, the pit.
Just
Dreamstyle Arena, the pit.
And it's just make it the unofficial name. That's it. That's all it is. It's the pit. It's been that way forever since I was a kid, and I grew up here my whole life. Nobody ever called it University Arena. Everyone just said it's the pit. Nobody really even called it Wise Pies other than a joke. I mean, I used to make jokes about it, but it was always the pit, and it'll always be the pit. So just leave it like that. Name it Dreamstyle Arena. Let it up there. Let the signage, and let's go.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
We're all worried about what preposition to put in there. Dreamstyle Arena, the pit sounds great to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine. You know, just let everyone call it the pit. You're going to call it the pit. You can call it Dreamstyle Arena. And speaking of calls, I want to know. Last year you had all the nicknames down pat. You had all the names, all the what do you call that when you speak their verberation? I was going to say, but that isn't the right word. You had all the verbal skills always. Have you started practicing all the names and different faces? And do you get the old names out of your head and like bring the new names in? It's like, okay, we got to get rid of those guys and remember these guys. And have you started coming up with nicknames yet?
All right. Baseball just finished like a week and a half ago. The football roster has over 100 guys, and basketball is a whole bunch of new faces.
Right.
Yeah, I've dug into it, but thankfully I've still got an entire summer in front of me, so there's a lot of work to do. Yeah. You know, the football team, and I know that that is your #1 area of interest and passion. There's going to be a ton of turnover, particularly on the defensive side. And Michael, you've got your homework up as far as who's still left from last year's basketball team. And now it's almost half and half, old guys and new guys, because of all the defections and departures and all the new faces. So, yeah, there's a ton of work to do.
I mean, at the, what do you have, like a bunker or something where you hunker down and you have like all the pictures of all the players? And
it's called a room in my house.
Just a room in your house?
Yeah.
You don't have like a man cave or a bunker or some underground place where you take an elevator down, it opens up a bat cave or something like that?
No.
A pork cave, you come in and say, okay, there's all the names, I got this all squared away, nothing like that?
Maybe that's down the line somewhere.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, we'll try to get you that budget. How's that?
That'd be great.
We'll try to get you that budget. No, seriously, you mentioned Lobo baseball. And I guess we'll start there, and then we'll talk about everything else. Lobo baseball started off on fire. One of the, they're ranked. They were had one of the toughest non-conference schedules.
And they won their first 10 conference games.
Yes, they did.
No Lobo baseball team had ever done that. No Mountain West team had ever done that. So, yeah, they were off to a great start.
They end up winning the Mountain West Conference regular season championship on the last day. Kind of, I mean, well, they backed into it. They had won enough at the beginning that, they were just enough ahead. What happened in the tournament? I mean,
well, they were not the same team in the tournament that they were during the regular season. They had lost 2 of their top 4 position players and 2 of their top 4 hitters. Their leader, their senior first baseman, the best defensive first baseman in the conference, having a breakout offensive year and a first-team All-Mountain West player in Jack Zellner. And then to lose Luis Gonzalez to ineligibility right before the tournament, that was brutal. They didn't have Jack for the last 2 weeks of the regular season. They didn't have either one for the tournament. And maybe the single biggest injury issue of the year that doesn't get talked about was that their senior left-hander, who was supposed to be a weekend starter the entire year and who has been an ace for basically his entire career, whether coming out of the bullpen or in the rotation, when Carson Schneider went down with an injury early in the season and missed a month, he never really came back as himself. And that hurt the pitching depth. It changed everything with regard to the entire staff, not just the starting rotation, but the entire staff. If he had continued to be a shutdown starter, then Luis Gonzalez never would have been a weekend starter, and he could have focused exclusively on playing center field, and maybe he would have pitched on occasion midweek as a starter and been a potential extra starter in tournament play. It just, the pitching depth that they thought they had, when that happened, and then their top 2 relievers outside of their closer Christian Tripp, when they both went down, and Cody Dye and Justin Slayton, everything changed, because it looked like it was going to be the best pitching staff that Ray had had in the 5 years that I've been calling their games.
So here's a question. Michael and I talked about this last week. Lobo football kind of established. Obviously, Lobo basketball still king at UNM. Has Lobo baseball, have they moved past the niche where the Lobo fans are starting to kind of like go and see this game see a team as a regular thing? Have they created their place yet in Lobo athletics goes?
I hope so. I mean, there's a core of fans that come out to every game, and the reaction to the second consecutive year hosting the Mountain West tournament and the crowds of 1,000 plus for the Lobo games, certainly it shows you the potential of what Lobo baseball can be. And they're just a couple little, more pieces to the puzzle. And I say little, they're not little. There'll have to be significant financial contributions, and they will happen down the road. Everything that Coach Birmingham has made happen with regard to that program so far is unbelievable. So I fully expect that the grandstands will be expanded. The other things that have to happen to bring the facility up to speed, add an actual press box, those things will happen. And when it does, I fully believe that Lobo baseball will be a national player year in and year out, and a potential host site, not just for regional, but one day for a super regional.
From an on-the-field standpoint, what does baseball have to do to get to that next level? Or are they already there, if not for some injuries and some unfortunate things grade-wise right before the tournament?
Well, they're close. They were so close a year ago that if they had just gotten a couple more outs in a game against Texas Tech, they might have come out of the regional in Lubbock and played in their first ever super regional. They are that far away. The pitching is still the thing. The pitching depth, they probably ended up one arm short of winning that regional last year. And obviously I talked about what happened to the pitching staff this season, but that's the next step. And of course, that comes down to getting better arms to come to Albuquerque. That's recruiting. The facility, the improvement with the RD and Joandale Hubbard Clubhouse is unbelievable. And I fully expect that will help in that area. And then when those other pieces fall into place over the next few years, the Lobos become a national power, I think.
Robert, I want to switch gears and let's go to Lobo basketball. I mean, you obviously were close to when Craig Neal was a coach here, and I don't know if this is fair to ask you or not, but I'm going to ask you anyway. And the little bit that you've now met with Coach Weir, can you talk a little bit about the differences, at least that you've seen so far, between the two? I'm not saying which one's better or which one's worse, just the differences in the way they approach coaching. Well,
they're different personalities. They have completely different styles. There's no doubt. Those styles it'll show through in how the Lobos play on the court. Coach Neal's background is so much NBA and pro style in the way that he runs an offense and the way that he operates the program. It's going to be night and day different. There's no question it's going to be night and day different. And that will reflect the personalities as well. I think that the important thing that has happened, Leroy, is that Coach Weir is clearly putting his stamp on the program immediately in the way that he runs it, in the way that he operates, in the way that he coaches his kids. And you will see that in the product on the floor. Obviously, with 4 scholarships open this close to a game in November, that's not exactly where he'd want to be, but that's part of reworking a culture. And Coach Davey, as close as you are to the football program, Leroy, you know what had to happen with that for that house to be cleaned and completely reorganized and reshaped. It's going to take some time on the basketball side.
Well, and along those lines, short term, what does Lobo basketball do? We all know 6 players who had eligibility remaining have left since the end of last season. 4 JUCO kids coming in or transfers. What does Lobo basketball do in the short term to be competitive?
Don't panic. That's the first thing. I think that Coach Weir has stated, and a lot of people have asked since, yes, the departures, the 3 big men that Coach Neal had recruited, who all were basically gone before Coach Weir was even hired. I mean, they were being re-recruited before Coach Weir ever got to Albuquerque. So people have asked, well, what are you going to do up in the front court? How are you going to fix that? Look at all the people that you've recruited. Only one of those guys is over 6'1", right, of the 4 new signees. So patience. That's what he has said is, look, I'd love to have a big guy in tomorrow. I'd love to bring one in that helps us this year, and we want to win right away, and I understand how important that is. But I'm not going to do something that handcuffs me. I'm not going to bring in a big guy just to bring one in.
Right.
If I can get a guy, a real guy, then I'll bring him in. But this late in the game, it's tough to get a real guy.
There's not really much out there as far as D1 players.
The patience, it's got to come with the fans, too. It's got to come with the fans.
Lobo fans, and Mike, you know this as well. They're not very strong on patience.
No, but patience isn't a strong suit.
And especially when you figure the last 3 seasons haven't necessarily been the type of seasons that Lobo fans are used to. You're asking for a 4th season of patience. Granted, there's some change. Obviously, there's upset of guys leaving, and like you said, the night and day aspect of it all. When Coach Davey took over after Mike Loxley was fired, there was that sort of change.
That was night and day too, right?
And absolutely. To the fact that everything was just basically thrown out, and I kind of see that same sort of attitude with Coach Weir. I was on the radio with Mike yesterday, and I said, Coach Weir seems like he's more all about business. He's a businessman almost, and a teacher, whereas Craig Neal seemed to be more of a friends with the players type of approach, which, hey, whatever you want to say about those approaches is fine. But it seems to me that Weir is more about, look, this is about we're going to win, and this is how we're going to do it, and it's all about working hard more than anything else. I want to see effort on the court, and perhaps some of the guys can transition in that culture change.
Well, I think what's important is that if you're going to go my way or the highway, do it up front. Be consistent with it and set the expectations.
Absolutely.
And then everybody knows exactly where you're coming from, and then they can react to it, right? But if it's the inconsistency, and I don't think you'll ever see that with Coach Weir. And my interactions with him, and I've interviewed him a couple times now and had him on, Lobo Talk already once. He is very much business first, but also very personable, and when you have him in front of you, and I know you've interviewed him as well, Michael.
We had him on the show.
Yeah,
it was great.
He's locked in, right? I mean,
for sure.
And then that's you can't ask for anything more than that.
Well, it was funny because we were like, Coach, is there anything you don't want us to ask? He goes, no, fire away. I'll answer anything you want. I mean, but I just think, I don't know if that intensity kind of with what happened before, I don't know if that intensity was necessarily like, I do give Hunter and DJ credit for staying and giving it a chance to see if they felt they could fit in or wanted to fit in, and then just whatever the situation was, we don't know exactly. I know it's reported in the paper and online and stuff. We don't know exactly what happened, but whatever it is, either they felt they couldn't fit in, or Coach Weir, whatever, they decided to part ways. Great, they gave it a shot. It just wasn't going to work out. They're going to go on and have great careers wherever they go.
They're great kids, and I wish them the best. I think the situation with Jordan, Coach Weir recruited 3 guards. All of them very similar in their builds and skill sets to Jordan Hunter. and 3 guys that he brought in versus a guy that he inherited, I understand exactly where Jordan's coming from. With regard to DJ, I think he's just such an incredible prospect, an athlete, and an immense talent. And I'm really sorry to see him go. And man, I wish that he had given the up-tempo style of Coach Ware a chance. But I totally get it. I totally get it. Maybe you want a fresh start.
Yeah. Let's talk about the most stable program, arguably, at UNM Athletics, the football team. Coming off a Mountain Division co-championship, won the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. We know there are going to be some questions defensively.
For which they got 1 ring.
1 ring,
by the way.
yes, it was 1 ring.
They all split it.
Yeah.
Right.
Every day, a different player
Unbelievable.
gets it.
Right.
Go ahead.
But we know there are going to be some questions on the defensive side of the ball, so some big guys are going to have to replace. But offensively, this team doesn't miss a beat.
Oh, Michael, how much fun have we had watching that machine?
Oh, so much fun. Yeah.
It's incredible. And what I'm excited about is to see the new pieces in the backfield. I mean, Kentrail Moran and Day Vigilant are going to get the football some this year. And that's not to say that Tyrone Owens isn't going to be the bell cow, because he is. And Darryl Chestnut's still the fastest guy, on the field, and he's going to get the rock. And Daquan Woodhouse is incredibly versatile, and I love everything that he does. But those 2 new kids, and knock on wood, hopefully Day is going to come back fully 100% from his knee injury. But those 2 guys, Moran is a beast with speed, who's built a lot like Richard McCorley. McCorley is the great combo back who can pretty much do anything. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen before his career is done. Richard McCorley is going to throw a touchdown pass. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. He's going to throw a touchdown pass.
Nice.
It will happen. He's got the best arm on the team. Now that Austin Apodaca's gone, he's got the best arm on the team.
Who's he going to throw it to?
Doesn't matter.
Don't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You might throw it to Lamar Jordan.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. As much as Coach DeBest changes things up, I absolutely can see that happen. That's awesome. Hey, I wanted to switch, and I know we're running out of time, but I want to switch a little bit back to basketball because the Mountain West Conference schedule came out. And I think just an absolute crime for Lobo Athletics, for the whole conference, is that the Lobos play Nevada once and play San Diego State once this year.
I'm sad not going to Viejas because I've been asked, what are your favorite moments, right? And there are so many. But the win this past season in Viejas ranks right at the top of the list. Getting a W in that building, I can't imagine a road win any sweeter than that. It was awesome. So I'm really sad that we're not going to San Diego State. And then, of course, Lobo fans, Lobo players, everybody within the program and everybody within the department wants a shot at Nevada in the pit, and they're not coming to the pit this year after what happened last year with a 25-point meltdown. That's a bummer. Honestly, I fully believed in my heart that the Mountain West fudged the schedule so that New Mexico and San Diego State played every single year twice.
Sure.
I'm shocked.
Well, I mean, let's face it. What is that? First of all, those are good television opportunities for ESPN, no doubt about it. Especially you're talking about what happened last year with Nevada. Obviously, there's the rivalry with San Diego State. Then you're also talking about the
strength
RPI.
of schedule, BPI, RPI.
I mean, other than New Mexico, San Diego State, Nevada now, and maybe UNLV rises to that level. I don't know. I mean, it seems like Coach Menzies is doing pretty well out there as far as recruiting. It just seems like there's no way to improve that strength of schedule later on in the season, and I just think that's a tough move for the Mountain West Conference to make. I think they should have budgeted the schedule, if anything. I mean, does anybody care if we play Air Force twice, or if we play Colorado State twice, or Wyoming twice? No, we want to see those other teams. That's what gets people fired up.
I was surprised.
You ready for your first road trip, guys? I know you guys travel together.
Boise State.
Boise State.
Absolutely.
A couple months. Football season actually starts, or practice starts at the end of July.
Yeah,
this year.
camp
They
opens.
extended it.
Last one with Boise State, not very good. A little bit of a score to settle. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, got worked at home last year.
They were a little ticked because of the year before.
Well, of course.
There was a magical time there.
Well, now
in
the chip is
Boise.
back on the Lobo shoulder.
So I remember Coach Davey and the players had some pictures in the field. How come you didn't show up? You didn't sit there with the selfie?
I was in a post-game show with this
Yeah, we're
guy.
busy doing post-game.
Yeah.
Oh. But you didn't run down afterwards and kind of take a shot?
It was all done by then.
It was all done.
Oh, yeah.
It was all, the party was over.
Yeah.
So one last thing we want to talk about. Athletic director Paul Krebs announces retirement. Obviously, Paul was one of the gentlemen that hired you. What do you think about Paul Krebs as far as his tenure here as Vice President of Athletics?
Well, first off, big thank you to both Lobo Sports Properties and Paul Krebs and the athletic department for the opportunity that I received to come to UNM and be the voice of the Lobos. Huge vote of confidence when they hired me, obviously, and I've loved every second of it, and I'm forever in debt. And let me say this. Paul and his wife, Marjorie, anyone who questions their passion for Lobo athletics is sorely mistaken. There have been missteps and there have been huge successes, right? Let's talk about two things in terms of conference championships, unprecedented success there, and unprecedented academic success. Say what you will about any of the other things that have gone on. Coaches hired, coaches fired, good hires, bad hires, whatever your opinions are. Those are the major takeaways for me from a decade with Paul Krebs.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and kick Robert loose. We're going to come back with CageMinds.com and Micah Frankel, and he's got an exciting guest, a repeat guest, if you will. Robert, thanks for being part of today's show. We'll see you all next week. God bless you all.
Grounded at third. They're going to step on the bag for one. Across for the double play. Galvan with a stretch at first.
Six dangerous time here. Gordon continues to serve. It's blocked. It's kept up. Bend off the foot. Playing some soccer and then Bendis.
And it's going to be an option this time. To Ventura, he changes direction. Ventura gets a little bit of a juke, and he's going to run that back.
Madison Haley. She was serving the first two sets when they wrapped it up. Scramble. Still alive. Haley pancakes it off the floor, and then she takes it out again on the back row. Hamill with a swing.
Candelario with the presence of mind. Good move down the lane. Score. She is fouled.
No, that's a gorgeous set and a better finish.
Edergon. Here comes Brown. Spin move inside, and Caviana Brown score.
Hackey on the far side. Ramirez gonna roll out looking. Ramirez is gonna run a long way. Back the other way. Now gonna toss it towards the end zone, and he's got his guy. Touchdown. The play, the continuation from Francisco Ramirez to his teammate.
That's up the middle of base hit. And here's the throw to the plate and a collision, and it is.
Oh, North trying to get out and run. Let's see what they can do here. Crosses her up, takes it to the rim, and run. The bucket is good. Number 2, Kawhi Du Bois from Ramah. And that is the stuff that And One mixtapes are made of, my friends.
Hey, Rusty the Sports Clown here for the Rusty the Sports Clown Show. That's a name I'll never forget. What'd that go again? Okay, anyway, time for a sports break. Yeah, just kidding. We're going to give the sports break a break today, and here's why. It's summer. I know, it's hot and everything already. So NBA is finally over. Hockey is over. Yeah, we have, I don't know, like 80-something days until Lobo football. So you ask, I'm not crazy about baseball, Rusty. Or, I need more than just one sport, Rusty. What do I do now? Okay, here are some great ideas. Okay, you can stay up really late and watch Australian football. Or you can watch the NRL, that's the National Rugby League. Both of those are in Australia, and they're on Fox Sports Australia. So if you don't have it, you know, you could get it if you want. So, let's see, if you don't want to do that, okay, I think Carlton, I think maybe he had a tryout for Fox Sports Australia, but, he didn't get it because he didn't speak Australian. I don't know, something like that. You could, get this out, you could break out your old home movies. Who does that anymore? I know you should. That's who should do it, because you get to see, what grandma looked like when she was little, or you get to see what you look like when you were little. All those little things. It's really fun. You can break out popcorn. It'd be great. Don't want to be inside? Well, guess what? Get outside. I know, you can do stuff there too. Okay, I hear this guy, Leroy Lucero, is giving fishing lessons at Tingley Beach. Well, more like how to drown worms, because he's not really good at it. But anyway, you can get outdoors and fish and pretend to fish and do things like that. Or you could go on field trips. I know you could go to the zoo. They've got like animals and stuff. Animals are cool at the zoo. You could go to the aquarium. They've got a ton of fish. Or you can wander around, and they've got all these amazing gardens and stuff that you could look at, give you ideas for your house. Maybe you want to get out and garden when you get home. Okay. How many of you been to Tent Rocks? Yeah, that's a place just north of here. I mean, it's amazing. Great place to hike through. You could go to the Malpai. Don't know what that is? Okay, it's the lava flows just west of town. Go west. Go west, young man. Okay, also, what's just west of town? The largest natural arch in the state. That's what's just west of town. What's just north of town? Soda Dam. How many of you have been there? Okay, I'm not talking about, like Coke or 7-Up. No. This is like stuff out of the ground and stuff. And it looks like a soda can's overflowing, but it's not. It's minerals and things. It's really cool. All right, here's what else you could do. You could learn to ice skate. And then once you learn how to ice skate, you could play hockey. I know, that'd be fun, slamming each other up against the walls. That'd be great. My kids do that all the time, even though they're not on skates and, they're not outdoors. Guess what else you could do? They have Albuquerque indoor karting. We might talk about that sometime in the future. You never know. Okay, you can race against your friends. It'd be a great time, something cool to do. You could join kickball or a dodgeball league. I'll bet you didn't even know they existed, did you? Did you know they existed? Nope, she's saying, I didn't know that. Well, they do. Okay, want to do stuff indoors because you don't like being outdoors? You can throw darts. Okay, not at each other. They've got dart boards to throw them at. Zing, zing. You can play card games. You can play board games. There's a ton of cool games out there. Back to outdoors again. You want to play yard games? How many of you played horseshoes? Bet not many of you have done that in a while. Okay, that's really cool. It's an actual horseshoe. I know, great name for it, huh? And you do like this, and you throw it at this pole at the other end of the yard, and then they throw it back at you, and you get points that way. How many of you remember lawn darts, for those of you old enough? Yeah, that's where you had this really sharp-pointed thing and threw it up in the air and, tried to dodge without getting stabbed with it. That was a lot of fun. Okay, you won if you didn't get hit. All right, here's what else you can do. How many of you have a net? If you don't have a net, go buy one. Because if you think it's too expensive to go play golf, guess what? Go into your backyard, set up the net, and hit into the net. You can draw like little targets in your net and try and hit at that. I know, that's something cool to do. You could use that same net and have soccer shootouts in your backyard. Or even go to the park and do it. You know, bitch, you can't get it in, bitch, you can't get it in. Hey, you got it in. Okay, so you're better than me. Fine. Huh. That's kind of bad sport on my part, but that's cool. Guess what else you could do? You know that bike that's been in your garage for like the last 3 years? You can get that down and go for a ride. Yeah, but first put some air in the tires because I'm pretty sure they're flat. You won't go very far that way. Do the air thing. You could go for a hike. How many of you have walked around your neighborhood lately? Not many of you. Okay, once you get used to that, then move on. You can go to the foothills. There's cool trails up there. You can hike up the mountain. How many of you have done that? You could go down to the river. There are really cool trails down in the Bosque. Okay, just don't walk in the water because parts of it are really deep, like over your head deep and stuff. Yeah, that's kind of hard to walk that way. Okay, so don't do that. Just walk next to the river. How many of you have ever floated down the river? That is a lot of fun. Big inner tubes, park your little body on one, and float. And then you could put like a cooler in another one with it that has sodas, you know, especially cream soda. Those are the best. And bottles of water, and you can float down the river. Okay, here's the one thing you have to remember. Okay, this is very important. If you decide to do that, remember to park a car at the other end where you're going to stop. Because otherwise, if you just get here, unload everything, and float down, you're halfway there. It's like, when we stop, who's going to pick us up? Because it's a long walk back. It is. So remember the car part. Anyway, got to follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, because we're going to have some more great ideas coming up next week and the week after for things to do. Follow me, because I like to be followed, because it's really fun. Just go. That's it. Bye.
New Mexico basketball courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Welcome to the place where I like to talk about people getting punched in the face. I'm Micah Frankel, and this is Cage Minds. Back for the second time around, we have Matt Biella Fitzpatrick. I thought you said you were bringing somebody with you this time.
Yeah, I was supposed to bring somebody with me. I guess someone fell short. Now you're stuck with me again.
Again, I mean, just for the record, any fighter that I invite on the show, the camera does not bite, and I am really, really, really not trying to get into a fight. We're just here to talk. It's not going to be that bad. I hope I asked better questions than Daniel and Kenny over there, UFC tonight, but, you know, we talk combat sports here. And this weekend was another crazy weekend for combat sports, including up at Buffalo Thunder here locally, as we had Jackson's MMA Series 22. The main event, Roberto Corvo, the Brazilian who came over here and was training out of the Jackson Wing Academy, against Clovis's from Force of One Martial Arts, Harvey Park, the sheriff from down in that area. And Park was able to dictate the fight with his leg kicks, with his pressure, a great left hook, and overwhelming Corvo, who kind of had an earmuff defense, was taking shots up the middle and can never really get going into his game plan. We know he wanted to get into a clinch range, use his elbows, and try to work the fight to the ground to use his third-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He was unable to do that. So Matt, out of the same camp as Corvo, what did you see in lead-up? I know you weren't there fight night, but what did you see in lead-up of how he was preparing?
Preparation was good, as what I was told and what I have seen. You know, some nights go for us and some nights don't. And that's combat sports, man. Combat sports is a beautiful thing. It's not like a game of basketball. It's not a game of football. It's like, I have nothing but respect for any athlete, but at the end of the day, man, combat sports is, you're the only one in there. You know what I mean? So if you mess up, you mess up. You know, that's on you. And you better hope to God you're able to fix it in time, because if not, that's going to cost you the fight. And that's what you see in these fights, man.
In baseball, you know, you hear of a batter who's on a hot streak, not, you know, washing or not changing his socks or something. So for a fighter coming off of a win, you head into that next fight, do you try to keep everything in preparation? I'm talking about more of the weight cut and what you eat that night and what you eat the night before. Do you try to keep that the same? Like, if you had a good performance and you felt good after something, do you try to keep those things good, to keep the body feeling good, to not mess with it too much?
I've always been a really disciplined person, you know, like, if my friends were out drinking and stuff like that, and I knew I had a fight coming up, I'm not going to drink, you know what I mean? It's just discipline. That's what it really comes down to, is discipline. And the weight cuts become easier once you start to learn your body, you know, and I've mastered it. I've mastered my body. I know how it works. I know how I feel during certain situations. And, you know, that last fight was so short notice, but I still felt good. On 24-hour notice, you don't find people that feel and look as good as me. You don't, you know what I mean? So I was confident going into that fight. I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to, you know, I already knew what I was going to prove myself right and prove others wrong. That's just what it came down to. And I felt super good, felt super lean, I felt super fast, and as always, super confident.
Now, from this past Saturday, sorry I got off on that weight cutting thing. Always, how a fighter feels and how they lead up, it just fascinates me, especially with weight cutting being such a big thing in MMA, and it really shouldn't be. But also from Saturday night at the Jackson's MMA series, a guy that I know that you did train with and train at the same time as, Cody Hofstadter, came through with a big TKO win. It all started with a body kick. He dug some toes into the abdomen of Stephen Ojeda, had Ojeda backpedaling. The aggressiveness and the running forward of Hofstadter, he was finally able to track down Ojeda, and with a right hand to the abdomen, dropped him. A beautiful kick to the body while he was on the ground, avoiding hitting Ojeda in the head, which would have made it an illegal move. He kept it legal, finished him off with a vicious TKO with some ground and pound. I'm talking about hammer fist and knees, and when you're kneeing a guy on the ground, it's just absolutely vicious. So what did you think of Cody's performance? I know you saw that video, and I know you were around him somewhat while he was getting ready for this one.
Yeah, it's funny actually because, you know, preparation is key, man. That's what it comes down to. Like I said, we go right back to, you know, the dedication you have towards your passion. And he's a very dedicated fighter and just a dedicated person in general. And, you know, when I just got the chance to finally come out here and be part of one of the best teams in the world, you know, Jackson Wink, I saw him and we were sparring one day. I think it was the first time I ever sparred him. And he was really awkward, super awkward, like, not as a person, but as a fighter. His style was just really super awkward. Everything about him was awkward. I was like, is he awkward like me, or is he like just messing around with me because I'm awkward, you know? And then I found out, I think, from himself and from other teammates that he came from Kung Fu, I believe. It's very hard to deal with fighters when you don't understand what they're going to do. That's the whole point of combat sports. It's a game of chess, of human chess. The way the body moves, the movement that you're approaching a fighter with. You can't approach every fighter the exact same way, but when you have such an awkward style, it's hard to figure someone out. And he's one of those fighters that is very hard to figure out. He went in there, he approached his game plan, I guess, exactly the way he wanted to approach it, and he got the job done in, what, 1 round? So he obviously did something right in this preparation for this fight camp. You know, he's got the best coaches in his corner. He's got some of the best teammates, you know what I mean? And he's super awkward. So, you know, awkwardness goes a long way in combat sports, man.
From your perspective, do you think there's too much Muay Thai and kickboxing and MMA, that too many guys are going with the same old traditions because they're all going then in the same attacks fight night?
I feel like a lot of fighters are seeing what other fighters are doing on TV and on YouTube, and it's not realistic because, you know, like, I come from Taekwondo, I come from kickboxing and boxing and all that ish. Oh, sorry, but slipped. But I come from that background, so when I go into a fight and I fight with that style, it's because that's what I'm comfortable with. You know, I see a lot of these wrestlers trying to throw flying knees and be these Taekwondo guys now because they're seeing these stars that are rising with that type of style, but it's like, that's not you because you came from wrestling. So do what you're comfortable with.
Kind of stay in your lane.
Yeah, not even like, listen, this is mixed martial arts. It's mixed up. You know, you have Muay Thai, kickboxing, whatever the case may be, wrestling, you know, and they say wrestling is one of the most dominant sports. I don't believe that, but, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I feel like every combat, every genre of martial arts is dominant if you're dominant in that section. So if you study it enough and you train it enough, then you're just as dominant as the Division I wrestler. I'm a Division I striker. That's how I look at myself. You know what I mean? I'll strike with anybody. The best kickboxer in the world, the best boxer in the world, I'm going to outstrike you. I'm the best striker in my division, period. And that's confidence speaking. And some of these guys are trying to, you know, I always went away from my Taekwondo and from my kickboxing trying to impress my coaches by, oh, let me take them down. But why? Kickboxing was working for me, you know, in these fights. I was finishing guys. You know, that last fight was the only fight I've never finished, ever, in my career. So I've obviously was doing something right, you know, so I went right back into what I know best, and that's striking. And nobody can outstrike me in this game. That's a fact.
How do you feel comfortable? We'll specifically talk about your striking real quick. Hands down.
Yeah.
Scaring the ever-living. I watch these guys with their fantastic hand. When your hands are down here, though, my heart is in my throat the entire time. But you're comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Dude, I like to toy with these guys. These guys, to me, are toys. You know, I like to play with these guys. Their emotions run high, and it's just fun to me. I laugh at them, you know. I'm sitting here. I'm young as hell. You know what I mean? I'm confident as hell. I dress damn good. and I have a little bit of an attitude, maybe I talk a little smack, whatever the case may be, I feel like I'm only talking facts. So, yeah, my striking is one of the best. I think so. You know, and I have the coaches that are the reason why my striking's at that level. And if my hands are down, my hands are down. Come make me stop putting my hand. Like, you know, come do something about it. You know what I mean? If you don't want my hands down, do something about it. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen a single guy that's threatened me to make me put my hands up. Where I come from, Taekwondo, American kickboxing, a lot of it's long, finding your range, you know, that reach. I'm Division I when it comes to reach, man. I have wrestlers shooting on me, and I'm picking them apart. Stiff arm, straight to their face, hit them with a shot or two. They don't want to shoot anymore. You know, so, you know, you take a black belt and he turns to a brown belt after a hit. Brown belt turns to a purple belt. You know, and the list goes on. You can understand where I'm going with that. You know what I mean? So, Division I, I'm Division I mentally. I'm Division I striker. Division I with heart. You know, I have what it takes to be the best. And I'm on that uprising of being the best. So, I'm not worried about these guys. Not even one bit.
We were talking about the Jackson's MMA Series 22 from this past week and totally got misdirection. We went down a little road right there. Go back to it. One more thing I want to touch on from that night. Seth Abeda got defeated by Jesse Sanders, but a moment in that fight where Abeda ate a knee low, and as the ref is saying stop, Sanders still fired off a combination, was able to land the strikes, and I thought it was an appalling call by the official to not deduct a point at that moment. When you were calling for a stop in the action and trying to break it, and one fighter is continuing to be active in the fight, you have to take a point. I felt that was, in an amateur fight, a learning moment for that fighter. You have to be aware of what the ref is telling you, and I felt that that was a learning moment and a moment that needs to be brought up. Even though eventually Abeda would lose the fight, it was a TKO victory for Sanders. There should have been a point taken. There should have been a reset, and at the very least, Abeda should not have taken the 3 shots to the head that he did. For your full recap and results on Jackson's MMA Series 22, we have that up at cageminds.com. We also have some other events that happen globally. The top kickboxing promotion in the world, Glory Kickboxing, was in France, and I saw one of the crazier sights I've ever seen in combat sports. Murat Grigorian versus Myrtle Grunhart. Grunhart throws a jumping knee. Left knee connects to the orbital. You see a busted open Grigorian immediately. Grigorian turns. Yeah. Starts to head back to his corner. Oh, I forgot by starting this off and saying this is 30 seconds into the second round. 30 seconds into a 3-minute round. Grigorian turns. Grunhart continues to pursue, comes around the right shoulder of Grigorian, fires a right hook that utterly demolishes and puts Grigorian out. The ref was quite taken aback by the scene of Grigorian turning his back. When you see him finally get up, the knee had taken a chunk of flesh out of his head. I guess he felt it. Either way, as his cornerman and head coach would say later, it was not a nice thing to do, but it was a legal thing to do. You're in a combat sport. You have to fight until the ref stops the action. The ref is the one in charge of that environment. After the knockout win, Grunhart is celebrating, and then a fan is in the ring putting knuckles to face, assaulting the fighter. Actually, 2 of them. Thankfully, both corners.
3 of them.
The third one was actually one of the cornermen that was trying to stop and tackle the first guy. Okay. It was a chaotic situation. Combat sports are crazy enough. We don't need the fans trying to get involved. We love the passion. I love the joke that Glory, in their response to the situation, says, we know we have the most passionate combat sports fans out there. I couldn't stop laughing at that. But it was a horrendous situation. People have to have self-control. Maybe some better barriers. Maybe not such a big VIP section close enough to the ring. A big win for Grunhart, but a disturbing situation there. Did you see this, Matt? Did you see this unfold Saturday?
Yeah, I saw this unfold, and one thing I need just to correct real quick is we do have loyal fans in combat sports, but let's be realistic. My fans are the most loyal ones in this game right now. My fans have been supporting me since day one. I'm actually on Instagram Live as we speak right now. My fans are the most loyal, so combat sport fans come second. My fans come first. But yeah, I saw the fight unfold. I was scrolling through Instagram, and people were posting on Facebook and all this other stuff, all these other social medias. And I saw this dude get hit, and he got dropped like a sack of potatoes. You know what I mean? He was put stiff. He smacked his head on that canvas so damn hard. You know what I mean? And he was unconscious. He was sleeping. He was counting sheep. But listen, let me tell you something. This is combat sports. What's the first word there? Combat, right? This is kill or be killed. If you're stupid enough to turn your head to me,
turn your back.
My shin is going to either touch your face, or my fist is going to put a hole through your skull. That's just the bottom line.
And that's
so
what
don't
happened.
turn your head to me, because in a sense, you're disrespecting me, and you're disrespecting the fans. When I saw that video, I thought it was kind of like a cheap shot, but then I found out that was 30 seconds into the round. I was told it was like the last 5 seconds of the round, so he walked to his corner, but that's BS. You know, that was the first 30 seconds of the fight. So, you know, I don't know, man. They need some real fighters, man. Glory could call me. I'll fight in Glory. I'll fight in Glory. I'll fight in boxing. I'll fight in MMA. All combat sports.
Thankfully, unaffected from the assault, Myrtle Grunhart will move forward to challenge the winner of the main event, which was Cedric Doumbé. Incredible head movement, incredible skill in once again defeating Nikki Holtzkin via a split decision. But that one ref that had it for the one judge that had it for Holtzkin, well, that guy was basically blind. A big win for Doumbé. We'll get to see him in Grunhart again. Glory Kickboxing, one of the more exciting combat and striking sports there is. Kickboxing with 3 rounds. They emphasize the knockout. They emphasize the spectacular techniques and aggression. I implore you to watch it. Now, Matt, I know you have had a big kickboxing background, and that was towards your roots, is the striking arts. Have you ever thought of possibly going professional, us seeing you step in a Glory ring?
Yeah. I'll step in Glory tomorrow. You know what I mean? Listen, man, I say it all the time, man. My family's a happy family. My family's got happiness. It has health. The only thing we need is financial freedom. So, hey, Glory, you want to hit me up? I will fight anybody. I don't care who you give me. You can give me the top dog or the underdog. You know, I don't care who you give me. I personally was this close from trying to get in touch with Glory before I went into MMA to go professional with them. I'm down to fight anybody in Glory.
How much of a strategic difference is it with your stance going from kickboxing to MMA where you're worried about the takedowns?
Nothing. Nothing changes. This is combat sports, man. That's the thing is everybody becomes, you have to learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You know, some people don't like being on TV. I'm on TV right now, you know. Some people don't like to fight in front of fans. I fight in front of fans. Some people don't like to fight in other people's home turf. I've done it, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter, man. It's becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. I'll fight in Glory right now. Like I said, I will fight in Glory right now. If they call me, hey Matt, you know, we got this dude for you. He's 5-0, 5 knockouts, first round. I'll pay you this much to fight him. I'll fight him right now. I'll fight him right now on national TV, and I will whoop him. So I'm not worried about that, man. Kickboxing was always my comfortability, and I think my coaches obviously can see that, you know. I don't ever have a problem striking with anybody. I've never really had a problem where I'm like, oh my God, I have to go strike with that guy. I've never once have I approached somebody where I'm like, damn, I got to strike with this guy. I know guys think like that when they spar with me, when they train with me, you know, or when they're fighting with me. They have that, oh, let me take him down. Oof, can I grapple with him? I don't want to strike with him. I got heavy hands. I hit somebody clean once, and that's it. I've dropped guys left and right. I've knocked out dudes in a kickboxing fight. I've knocked out dudes. I've dropped dudes in MMA. I tapped out a purple belt in an MMA fight, you know what I mean? And that was a jiu-jitsu guy based, and they didn't want me to fight the guy because he was jiu-jitsu based. And at the time, I was only doing jiu-jitsu for like a year. You know, they're like, no, don't. I'm like, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to tap him out just because you tell me I can't. So now I'm going to do it. That's the type of person, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to sit back, throw my feet up and say, watch. That's it. You know what I mean? I enjoy proving people wrong. People can say whatever they want, you know, but at the end of the day, man, I back my words up. I might talk a ton of crap, right? Do I not?
You're talking now, right?
I'm talking right now, right? I talk a bunch of crap, but I always back it up. I always show up to every single fight. I've never pulled out of a fight. I have never once pulled out of a fight. I have fought with the flu. I have fought with a torn knee. I have fought with a broken foot. You know what I mean? I have fought through every condition you could possibly think of, and I've came on top. There's a reason for it. I have confidence, and confidence speaks.
Now, we've also talked about recently, there was a lot of changing the guard, and this was a young man's sport. The younger you are, it seems to be the easier you get towards the top. Yeah. But this weekend in New Zealand, you kind of saw the complete opposite of that as the timeless one. Ageless, the Super Samoan, Mark Hunt defeats Derek Lewis in the main event in UFC Fight Night 110. Pressure, aggression, mixing up levels and mixing up targets, putting the pressure on Lewis and really just taking his spirit, taking his soul, finishing the fight in the 4th round. You saw Lewis gasping. You saw him fighting a mentality of a football player where he has these big explosive bursts and this time to recollect himself. A bad performance from a man in Lewis who seemed to be on the cusp of a heavyweight title shot. He was on a 6-fight win streak and laid an egg. Really came out and was performing horribly. Was not the aggressive Lewis. When do we see him backpedaling against another heavyweight?
I don't know, but I need to ask you: is Lewis a MMA fighter or is he a football player?
It looked like he was a football player that night. The way he was stopping, starting, the way he was gassing. But you can't say enough great things about Mark Hunt. Always fighting the top of the top of the division. Always fighting upper echelon competition, kickboxing and MMA. A marvel. One of those guys that we said again. You can't count a guy that old out, though.
No, you can't. And let me tell you something. Whatever you Samoans have in your water that don't make you age and don't get you tired, send me a whole package of that stuff because I need it. I'm not physically tired. I think I'm mentally tired from all these guys saying they're down to fight, And then what happens, man? I've had 8 fights ready to go since I've lived in New Mexico. 8. Not even from the same organization, different organizations. Every single time they pull out. The only time I even got to fight in New Mexico now was a fight that I took on 24 hours notice. You know, so it's just ridiculous, man. Everybody's a fighter till it's time to fight. You know, people could say a lot of stuff about me. They could say I talk crap, I do this, I do that. But I always show up, and I'm always down to fight. I took this last fight on 24 hours notice and showed up, and I still got the W. These guys say they want to fight, and then when it's time to fight, they don't want to fight. I'll fight you in your own game. I'll fight you in boxing. You want a boxing fight? Let's fight boxing. You want a kickboxing fight? Let's fight kickboxing. You want to fight MMA? I'll whoop you in that too. It does not matter whether it's Glory or WBO or whatever the organization's called. You know, I don't really.
With boxing, it could be anything.
It could be anything.
You bring up MMA.
Yeah.
And there's somebody at MMA that you're frequently chirping at. He's chirping back. Do we have a pretty situation going on with Bellator yet?
He's not pretty.
It's a pretty boy nickname, though.
Yeah, pretty boy. But see, the thing is, if you're going to call yourself pretty boy, you better be pretty. And he's one ugly dude. So, Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor. What could I say about him? Could say nothing but great things about him. But
has it taken so long to make this fight that you're now just trying to be his friend, buddy? Let's make money.
Yeah, man, let's make money, dude. Like, I don't understand people, man. Sometimes, like, you know, I talk a lot of crap, and I don't know if people are just intimidated or they're just kind of like laughing it off. But like, he sat there and say, "Oh, I'm in Bellator, and you're not. You're not even in discussion, right?" I said, "Well, you know, this is the thing is, I called you out about it. I called you out on some stupid stuff you had to say, and I laughed about it. I was sitting back with my feet up, watching Instagram Live. He followed me on Instagram. Okay, you followed me on Instagram. You liked my stuff on Instagram, right? I followed you back because I saw that you were an MMA fighter as well. You know, we have something in common." And then I see him going on Instagram Live talking a bunch of crap about James Gallagher. Meanwhile, James Gallagher choked him out. So that was just absolutely ridiculous, and it made me laugh. So, you know, I was like, hey, why don't me and you fight, you know? Now, he's saying that I'm not worth the topic. If I wasn't worth the topic, how come you're bringing my name back up? How come you're answering my messages, you know? I must be in your head.
You seem pretty important to the guy. There's a lot of people that take a while to get back to me. But if you're paying attention, he's looking at you. He's watching. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you in Bellator soon?
Yes, 110%. That is a guarantee. People are like, oh, you might have to go through Bama. You might have to do this. Listen, man, I'm known for getting what I want. If I want a title fight tomorrow, I'm going to get a title fight. That's just a fact. The way I talk, the way I conduct myself, the way I do business, the way I am, intelligence-wise, I ain't a stupid cat, you know what I mean? I'm not. So these other mates have to step back and wait online. Now it's time for me and Pretty Boy to fight, you know. Pretty Boy, I just talked to him yesterday. So anybody that's wondering, man, I don't know why he deleted the last comment saying he was down to fight. I'm not going to judge you on that right now. I'm not. I have to be nice to you.
Comments.
I have to be nice to you. That's the only way for you to answer. If I'm mean to you, you crawl back up in this shell and you hang out with Patrick Starr, you know, down in Bikini Bottom. So I don't know what's going on right now. But he said he was down to fight. I said, hey, listen, let's get a venue, man, between October and that area, November, December. You know, it would be a beautiful Christmas present for these fans to watch me and you fight. Let's make some money. And he said, yeah, I'm down. Bunch of exclamation marks, all excited. Now let's see if he's actually down. You know, he said he's down 3, 4, 5 times. I'm sitting back, like I said, man, with my feet up, and I'm sitting here waiting for him. And I'm not getting any buzz back from him. And I'm sitting here laughing because I'm like, dude, I'm 21 years of age. I'm down to fight anybody. If the numbers are right, man, I'll fight anybody. Everyone's like, oh, but like you're an amateur, so like you don't make money. Well, let me tell you something. If you're smart, you make money, and I make money when I fight, whether I'm amateur or not. I make money. I have sponsors. I have endorsements. I make tickets. I make more money than a lot of these beginner pros. I can tell you that right now. And I'll tell you this right now, Anthony Pretty Boy, this is a fight that both of us make a fat check. So just man up and fight me. I don't care if I have to fight in your home turf. I'll fight in Cali right in front of all your fans. I probably have more fans in California than you do. I'll fight in New Mexico, Cali, Mexico City, London, Ireland, New York City, MSG. It doesn't matter, man. I'm down to fight you whenever you want. I'll fight you on a day's notice. I don't care. But man up and fight. That's all I want. That's all I want. Let's fight, man. The fans want to see it. So it's time to man up.
Matt is hungry to be in action. Quick note for you guys. Fit NHB's Steve Hanna won this past weekend up in Colorado, was successful with the first round TKO, getting back in the win column. Coming up this coming weekend, the Atrisco kid Fidel Maldonado Jr. is in Texas. He's going to be fighting for a WBC title against Pablo Cesar Cano, 2 knockout artists in the ring in that one. Also this weekend, the UFC has an event in Singapore. Holly Holm is the main event. Why does Holly beat Betch Kohea? We both believe it's going to happen.
And I have to be appropriate, so I'll be appropriate.
Yeah, no curse words, please. No curse words.
As much as I can. You know, I can't hold my words back so much. But Holly's got this fight. Holly is a premier boxer, high level, and she's beat Ronda Rousey, which has given her confidence throughout the rest of her career now, and it's really created a buzz in combat sports. And you know, she's fighting. What's her name?
Betch Kohea from Brazil, a former title challenger.
She's too emotional, man. I have never seen such an emotional person in combat sports. You know, besides maybe some of these other guys, I'm not going to name names. You know, I'm going to try to be respectful. But after she lost to Ronda, man, she was on a whole
mentally broken
binge, I'll say. You know. I don't know what she was doing in her spare time, but she was being a baby about the whole situation. But I do want to touch back on one little quick thing, those Jackson fights. I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Seth. Seth has been a huge inspiration and has actually humbled me a lot. Sometimes I need to be humbled. And none of these fighters are able to humble me in the sense of combat because I'm whooping everybody. But Seth, I have to give nothing but respect to you, man. Hats off to you. You're a warrior, and I think the biggest accomplishment in life is being a great father and a great inspiration and a great role model to other people. Fighting is such a small percentage of life, so enjoy your life, man. You're an inspiration. You're motivating to everybody in the gym. Continue to work hard.
Thanks for joining me again this week, Matt. For Michael, for Leroy, this has been Cage Minds and Red Menace TV. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.